gentlemen, Borada, Royso, here, Gary Sophia. Welcome to Sophia Gardens for the third day of the LV Insurance County Championship match between Glamorgan and Middlesex. The game will be resuming at 11 o'clock. Glamorgan Cricket would like to thank all of their sponsors and partners for their continued support this summer, extending a very warm welcome to the players and officials here today from Middlesex, as well as our two-match umpires Michael Burns and Rob White, plus match referee Dean Costa. The official Glamorgan website, www.glamorgancricket.com, contains details of how to purchase tickets for all forthcoming games here this summer at Sophia Gardens. That includes the international T20 game here on Thursday, the 28th of July, when England will be playing South Africa. Also on the official Glamorgan website are details of the various match day hospitality packages available for all games here this summer at Sophia Gardens. That includes those in the T20 Blast as well as the Welsh Fire games in the 100 later on this summer. Copies of the 2022 Glamorgan Yearbook are now available for purchase via electronic means from reception, situated on the ground floor of the Thatcher's Pavilion. Copies can also be bought from the Glamorgan Club shop, which is run by Missouri Sports and is situated opposite Gate 2. Because there's currently no public access beneath the Castell Power stand, you can access the club shop by exiting back out through Gate 4, strolling down the lane and re-entering via Gate 2. And the Glamorgan Club shop is also selling a wide range of cricket equipment and other items, including replica Glamorgan kit. Scorecards, as well as copies of Michael Hogan's testimonial brochure, are also available from reception, which, as I say, is situated on the ground floor of the Thatcher's Pavilion. As far as refreshments are concerned, food and drink can also be bought using electronic means from the kiosk, situated in the concourse area beneath the pavilion seats. And the Glamorgan members can obtain tea and coffee in the Lewis Lounge between 10 o'clock and 11, and again later on this afternoon between 3:30 and 4:30. And finally, a reminder that drinks and snacks can also be purchased from the vending machines situated at the rear of the indoor school.
This one has been racing along at a lightning pace. Glamorgan lasted a little over one session, put to the sword by Middlesex's imposing attack, with 3 apiece for Afridi and Roland Jones. The hosts were all out for 122, but the visitors had struggled with the bat as well, recovering from 110 for 6 to start the second day, leading by 49, with 4 wickets in hand. Roland Jones had also shown his worth in the crucial late partnership with Simpson that had given Middlesex the lead, and he further outlined his batting credentials at the resumption, up to 50 off 62 balls as he took on a Van der Hookten short ball and clattered it into the ropes. Glamorgan had to watch on as the duo continued to tick off the milestones, up to 200 runs, and they were showing no signs of being stopped. Their stand was worth 100 runs for the 7th wicket when Simpson found a single off Hogan, but after rescuing the innings, they were finally separated. Harris with the 4th wicket. Roland Jones, unable to go any further, caught behind for an innings-leading 65. He would only have just started taking his pads off when his long-time partner Simpson reached his 50, scored off 121 balls. The shot that got him there, characteristic of a calm and collected innings. If Glamorgan felt like the wicket would signal the beginning of the end, they were sorely mistaken. Tom Helm picked up the baton from his departed colleague and ran with it, the lead growing beyond 100 as the session headed towards lunch. It was yet another fruitful partnership, worth 50 runs moments before the break, the visitors in charge, leading now by 141. Helm fell soon after lunch, caught behind off Nisa for 33. Glamorgan left searching for just 2 more wickets, but they would be forced to work hard for them. Simpson took on the Gloucestershire attack. Afridi too had his moments, and soon the visitors had 300 on the board. With the Simpson single off Salter, the number 6 took the value of the 9th wicket partnership to 50 runs and moved closer to what would be a well-deserved 100. The lead was over 200 when Simpson reached 3 figures, an innings with a bit of everything, culminating in a ton, scored off 237 balls. His partner fell in the next over, a decent contribution of 29 from Afridi, who took Labuschagne on, but only found northeast. And Labuschagne would be the man to take the final wicket, while Aloita only able to add 1 before he was unlucky to drag a delivery that probably should have got the treatment onto his off stump. Middlesex all out for 336, 214 runs ahead of their hosts. Tea was taken with the fall of the final wicket. After making their mark with the ball, Middlesex had taken full advantage of the strong position. Simpson finished 104 not out. His runs with Roland Jones and the rest of the lower order had built quite a lead. Harris had been the pick of the Glamorgan bowlers, finishing with 4 for 68. Glamorgan were under pressure with the threat of an innings defeat, the proverbial sword of Damocles, and they lost their head early. Lloyd, the captain, castled. Roland Jones was having quite some game. Helm had the 2nd, Salter bowled for 7, with the visitors pushing for a win within 2 days. It was certainly within their reach when the world number 1 batter Marnus Labuschagne continued a poor run of form, trapped in front by Afridi for 23. Carlson would become the next man to trudge off dejectedly, trapped in front for 3 by Anderson. The score was into the 70s when Cook fell, caught by White off Roland Jones, and the Middlesex bowler kept it up. Taylor out for a 6-ball duck, Middlesex 4 wickets away from victory now. Bad light saved Glamorgan's blushes. The day brought to a premature end with the hosts 110 behind. It looks an almost certainty that Middlesex will pick up the win on day 3. The target for Glamorgan is to force them to bat again, but with just 4 wickets in hand, that looks to be quite some ask.
It's good morning, Florida, to our 2-match umpires, Michael Burns and Rob White. good morning, Borodar, as well to the Middlesex team led into the field by Captain Peter Hanscom. And good morning, Borodar, to the two not-out batters from Glamorgan, Sam Northeast and Michael Neeson. To resume the bowling this morning for Middlesex at the River End, Shaheen Shah Afridi.
Very good morning and welcome to BBC Sport online commentary live from Sophia Gardens for day 3 of Glamorgan against Middlesex with Kevin Hand, myself, Nick Webb and Edward Bevan will be joining us as well as Glamorgan start in a dire position of 104 for 6, still 110 runs short of making Middlesex bat again. And the visitors looking to wrap up 22 points, some points today. And it will be Shaheen Shah Afridi to bowl the first ball of the day to Michael Neeson, who allows it to go through low outside off stump into the gloves of Simpson. A very good morning to Kevin Hand.
Morning Nick, morning everybody. A little bit brighter right now. It was windy this morning down the front, wasn't it? I think you had to walk along as well. By the time I got up to the top of the stairs, which lead up to the media centre here on the left at the back of this stand at the Cathedral Road, and honestly, you were being blown to one side. It was like being on a windy ship at sea.
Yes, wonder whether it will affect the Middlesex bowlers, but they only have 4 wickets to take, and Afridi is racing in again to bowl outside off stump, and again, Neeson has nothing to do with it. 104 for 6, just probably a question of whether Glamorgan can make Middlesex bat again and avoid the innings defeat.
Yeah, at the moment it's a heavy defeat they're facing, but we saw when Middlesex managed to get past, you know, that tricky. I mean, they were 110 for 6, weren't they?
They were.
Middlesex, and they recovered to 336. As long as North East there's a chance that Glamorgan give themselves something to bowl at, perhaps.
Afridi bowls outside off stump, and Neeson again shoulders arms with the left arm over the wicket, slanting the ball across the body of the right-hander. I
mean, bearing in mind that Middlesex were 5 down with only double figures on the board, 6 down, 110. Yeah, if you said to Glamorgan now, look, you'll have you trail by 110, but we can guarantee you're going to have 110 to bowl at. They'd absolutely, they'd say, yeah, all right, we'll take that. 220 runs, a long way away, mine, but for sure they'd take that, wouldn't they?
Absolutely. Afridi is into bowl to Neeson, who drives to mid-on. And there's no run. Again, Glamorgan's batting lacked a bit of spirit and application in the second innings.
I think, is it too simplistic, too basic to say new ball pitch, but Middlesex gave themselves a chance, didn't they, with Stoneman's innings. Again, I keep going back to the Anderson one because I just thought that stuck out, you know, 7 from 30 odd. He was just hanging in there. He was trying not to play the shots. He was trying to play sensibly, trying to hang in.
As Afridi turns and runs towards us from the River Taff end and bowls to Neeson, who squirts one away on the offside, fielded at point, no run.
And perhaps there wasn't enough of that from Glamorgan in their first innings, but perhaps also I think it has to be said, and a few have commented that, you know, Middlesex in this match, they've probably got the best new ball partnership in the country. Roland Jones, who has bowled, he's been the pick of the bowlers in the game, hasn't he?
Well, he's been man of the match, hasn't he? I think despite Simpson's century, he got them moving in the right direction.
You're right, aren't you? It's Rojo, poor old Simo.
Wickets and runs from Roland Jones as Afridi bowls to Neeson, who's forward defensively playing to mid-off. It is a maiden over to start the day here on BBC Sport Online, also available with the video streams from the two counties. And it's a bit of a bleak day, isn't it, having had some good weather last week when your boys were off?
Yeah, well, there's that patch of blue over there, isn't there? But it's disappearing fast with that very strong winds, as we mentioned. You can see the trees being bustled over the other side of the River Taff. Here from the Cathedral Road end, as you'll have just heard, Toby Rowland-Jones to bowl. I think that'll be the frustration for Glamorgan, is what in a roundabout way he was getting to, Nick, that they were gone, 41 overs in the first innings. There's 35 gone in this. There's every chance they could be gone 41 overs again in this innings. They haven't given themselves a chance with the bat. They haven't got past that 30, 40 over mark and had some decent wickets in hand to try and do some damage, which is what Middlesex did, and they reaped the rewards with John Simpson. As you say, this man, Toby Rowland-Jones, turning away from us. He's past the umpire now, right arm over the wicket, and he bowls to North East, who leaves a foolish delivery just outside off. Through it passes to Simpson. Could Simpson have any claim on that man of the match? A century in such a low-scoring game. Again, when he came to the crease, 26 wickets had fallen from 132 runs, hadn't they?
It was a great innings, but Rowland-Jones's 65 was slightly more aggressive anyway to turn the momentum. Century partnership with Simpson and Rowland-Jones with the 3 wickets in each innings as well.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, because he's got the wickets and the runs. It's hard to overlook. You'd be thinking about a 5 for us. In he comes, bowls, and forward goes North East, pushing up to mid-on. There's no run. North East on 21. Rowland-Jones on 3 for 35 in his 13th over, 2 maidens. And throughout the match, it's been bowling of the highest order. The batting has struggled on whole, apart from Simpson, Rowland-Jones, and Stoneman. Between them, 230 odd runs.
Yeah, Glamorgan's highest score in the match so far is Chris Cook's 31 in the first innings.
Rowland-Jones bowls, North East's in behind this, and low down on the bat. It rolls back up the track to Rowland-Jones. Yeah, so the difference between the first innings was 214 runs. So basically Simpson, Rowland-Jones and Stoneman. But yeah, if they could somehow, if this pairing could somehow see through Rowland-Jones and Afridi this morning, then they've got Hellman. Anderson's come, haven't they?
Yeah, decent backup.
Rowland-Jones, right arm over, bowls, good length, just full of a length, plunging forward. North East struck high up on the bat as he tried to defend, and the ball ricochets into the onside. Fielded at mid-on by Sam Robson, who's warming up optimistically. A bit of leg spin from Robson. What's the over rate? It's level.
Maybe keeping warm is the prime objective, rather than actually preparing to bowl. The trees waving round on the River Taff, and only dozens of spectators in today because it could be short.
Rowland-Jones hits the crease now. He bowls, and this ball's played defensively by North East once more on the back foot this time. Into the onside it goes. 104 for 6.
Yeah, if you're listening from a Glamorgan point of view, you might care to tweet me as to who you think might come into the team in the next match. There wasn't much of the last second 11 game. There were half centuries for Harry Friend, for Tom Cullen and Billy Root in that match at Edgbaston.
North East awaits. Rowland-Jones bowls. Good length, edged and taken at second slip. North East has gone for 21. Rowland-Jones has 4 for 35. 7 in the match now for him. Glamorgan 104 for 7. Yet to add to their overnight score. They still trail by 110. And surely now that will be the match for Middlesex.
That was a slightly indeterminate push from North East. There wasn't the determination to get forward the pitch of the ball, and that really the shot of a man playing for a team whose cause is rather lost, I'm afraid.
Yeah, he had that ball before that he plunged forward. I think he probably could have left that on length. It was wide enough as well, but on length alone he probably could have left that one alone. You'll look back at it and it looks extremely soft. It's high outside off where he's fending at it, really, just dabbling at it. Indeterminate from North East. Yeah, but again, it's just Rowland-Jones. The ball before, he plunged forward and it hit high up on the bat, didn't it? how do you play Roland Jones? He does get that extra bit of bounce, but I think the line on that one alone, North East will be disappointed he had to go at that one. 104 for 7, and James Harris walks out to bat. Well, I say that's probably the match for Middlesex now, but Harris will certainly want to have a say. Some incredible innings over the years for Middlesex. The highlight being that 100 against Lancashire in the One Day Cup, when he at least gave them something to remember on an exit in the playoff to Lancashire when they were trounced really and out of sight by the time he and Simpson came together on something around 20 odd for 5. But a century from Harris. Very near. Well, it at least gave Middlesex hope. They were so far behind at that point. They still lost the game even with a century from Harris and a huge stand with he and Simpson. That was the end of the over. 104 for 7.
So Glamorgan yet to get their first run of the morning as Shaheen Shah Afridi, 1 for 26. Will attempt to delight his personal fan club as he races in and bowls, and Nisa drives to cover, and there's no run. Hopefully he will be box office for Middlesex over the course of the season, and certainly the sort of pace that you don't often see on the county circuit, and a little entertainment with the bat as well, as he swung wildly as Middlesex extended their lead on day 2. Afridi races in, bowls, and Nisa jabs at that one. Don't think it carried to slip. It hasn't been cleanly fielded, and they're through for the first run of the morning.
Yeah, I couldn't tell whether it carried. My instinct to be it didn't. Robbie White rolling to his right. Got Hanscom at slip, White at second, third is Anderson. Helm is a deep gully.
Again, they look cold, don't they?
Yes.
And Glamorgan haven't had the best of luck with the weather over the first couple of home games, with glorious sunshine for the Easter weekend away game, and rather Baltic temperatures here. Afridi then in, down leg side. Harris makes no contact, 105 for 7.
Well, they've already had Stephen Eskenazi injure a finger in the slips, missing this game after taking a catch against Derbyshire a couple of weeks ago. Robbie White batted nicely in the game at Lords. I don't want to lose him for any period of time. You mentioned the players to come in for Glamorgan, though. Middlesex have got quite the selection headache coming up in the next few weeks.
As the next ball is Harris shouldering arms outside off stump. The problem for Glamorgan is that, as I said, that second 11 game against Warwickshire was reduced to 1 innings apiece by bad weather. It was at the Edgbaston Community Ground, and they haven't been playing second 11 cricket in the last few days. They do play at Newport on Monday, so I imagine there would be some keen eyes on who can make runs in that game. Here's Afridi then, left arm over, racing in, bowls to Harris, hurried into his shot, but jabs down on it in time, sends the ball up to mid-on, and there is no run. And Glamorgan have not yet scored a run off the middle of the bat this morning, just the edge single to Nisa. There's no joint top scorer on a paltry 23. Some work vehicle bleeping away in the distance.
I thought they were done for the day. Arrived today. There was no digging, nothing going on.
Maybe somewhere else in the vicinity. Well wrapped up, I hope, wherever they are. As that is driven by Harris down the ground. That's a beautiful shot. Slightly overpitched by Afridi, and Harris tapped into that one. That is a great way to get off the mark with a firmly driven, well-timed boundary too long off. 109 for 7. Harris is up and running with 4.
And the sun's come out as well. Oh, what more could we want, Nick Webb?
There we are. There's a bit of Welsh rugby to watch this afternoon, with Dragons game at 2 and down the road at Cardiff at 5:15. Vaguely dabbling with the idea of going there, if assuming this is wrapped up. Although too late to be official, so I'll have to actually shell out for a ticket. Against journalist principles.
3 slips go down. Roland Jones is in, bowls to Nisa, and this is on to the pads. Oh, it's clipped nicely back with a square for 4. Lisa's on 27, 113 for 7. They trail by 101 runs now, Glamorgan.
So the Dragons against Scarlets game at 3 o'clock is available on BBC Two Wales and BBC Radio Wales. And the Cardiff against Ospreys game is on S4C. It's a 5:15 kick-off there.
Have you got a pair of binoculars with you today?
No, I haven't.
I'll tell you why I need one in a moment. Here's Roland Jones. He's in, bowls, and onto the... legs, and it's chipped. The softest of dismissals to mid-on. Nisa completely mistimes that. I think for a moment he was looking to repeat the ball before and clip through the onside. He's just dollied up the simplest of catches to Robson at mid-on, and he will be so bitterly disappointed with that. He's gone for 27. Glamorgan are 113 for 8, and Toby Rowland-Jones has 5 for 39. 8 in the match to go with his 50 as well. 2 wickets remain in this innings. Could it be a 10 for Rowland-Jones?
Well, he just loves playing in Cardiff, doesn't he? 9 wickets in the last championship match here in 2019, and once again he has dominated Glamorgan's batsmen absolutely and completely. Just 9 runs added for 2 wickets this morning.
101 runs. They still trail by Glamorgan. Can they get it down to a double-digit defeat is mostly the question now, isn't it? Poor Harris on 4. He'd have had hopes of coming out and been involved with something today. Again, he'd been involved with a few great rescue acts. Having a chat with Ethan Bamber as he goes off. We mentioned in Middlesex's selection today. Bamber's got to get back into this side. More than 100 first-class wickets at 23. And 23 years of age as well. But carrying the drinks for this one. He'll be hoping to be back in against Leicestershire. How Middlesex rotate this bowling attack. Helms been in good form the first 2 games. Rowland-Jones looking at his absolute best. Afridi in. Do they go 4-seamers? And poor Anderson maybe, or Wallaluita make way. We'll have a look at that Lord's pitch pretty closely next week. It might be a 4-seam attack.
Well, Wallaluita, largely through no fault to his own, has been a bit of a spectator in this game. Hasn't been called upon,
which is amazing, isn't it?
Was the ball? The ball hasn't reached him very much in the field, and he was out for 1.
Yeah, I was going to say Middlesex have virtually done it with 10 men, haven't they? Which
no reflection on the gentleman himself.
No, indeed, absolutely. But Josh Decare's got through an awful lot of bowling in the first round, and I guess here at Cardiff they thought there was a chance, that spinner might be required. As I say, it's going to give him a real conundrum to work out against Leicestershire in a couple of weeks as to what they do with either Wallaluita, whether it's Anderson if they do go with the spinner that Bamber comes back in for. But Anderson, he's got a couple of wickets in this match and played his part of what is a 4-seam attack. But yeah, wicket keeper at 6 for Middlesex. Interesting to see. Still a job to be done here first. Van Gooten's in with 3 slips, a deep gully. Pretty deep there indeed he is. It's Wallaluita we've been talking about. Point, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket and long leg, and Rowland-Jones right arm over, he bowls and a forward defence. First ball from the right-handed Glamorgan, number 10. So yeah, Rowland-Jones 5 for 39. And just wonderful, wonderful to see. I know I keep saying it, but a fit Rowland-Jones. All of the problems that Middlesex have had since 2016. Well, they probably couldn't say that, because if he'd have been fit the whole time, he'd have been playing for England, not Middlesex anyway. But that, replacing replacing Rowland-Jones post 2016, I think has been probably one of their biggest problems. As he comes in now, bowls, and this is cut to point, and there is no run. All the talks about low first innings totals for Middlesex, and that is a humongous problem. But the point being, Rowland-Jones is an incredible talent. And when he's fully fit and in full flight as he has been in this game, it's pretty fearsome. Although he's not an express bowler, it just goes to show about pace as well, doesn't it? He's not a 90-mile-an-hour man. He doesn't need to be. He still puts fear into the batsman. Off he goes. He bowls now, and this ball's full and driven by Van der Gooten to helm at mid-off. He'll be hoping to get in on the attack. Robson's still warming up at mid-on. Maybe he just slept funny last night, stretching out the shoulders in the back.
Helped, though, Roland Jones by having a 90-mile-an-hour mate at the other end these days in a freedie.
I've just about got away with the opening day interview with Roland Jones when I said, all those years bowling with Mercer, they've finally given you a decent opening partner, Toby. He did have a chuckle there. I haven't heard anything back from Mercer yet, so I'm all right for now. Roland Jones bowls and beats the forward defence of Van der Houten. There's no run. End of his 14th over, 5 for 39. Michael Neser caught Robson at mid-on off Roland Jones for 27, 113 for 8.
Well, you'll know that Merter's offended when he refuses to speak to you following his 10-wicket haul in the next match.
Exactly. But that was the beauty of the pair of them. You know, they're a perfect opening pair for the English summer, really, aren't they? Roland Jones and Mercer. If it's not seaming, it'll swing for Mercer, and if it's not swinging for Mercer, you hope it'll seam for Roland Jones. But not just seam, as I say, the just natural bounce that he extracts from any surface, and when it's really going for him, he's mean and nasty, isn't he? He hasn't really needed to be mean and nasty in this one. He's just been a metronome, and it's been very effective.
Here comes a freedie then from the River Taff end into bowl to Harris, and bowled a short ball that Harris ducks underneath.
A freedie will want one, won't he? He'll want to spoil the 10-wicket party for Roland Jones. He'll want one before this innings is done. 1 for 31, a big one. Marnus Labuschagne for the second time in the match. For the seventh time in 7 matches between the pair of them.
Yes, it's a shame we didn't see that duel lasting a bit longer from a neutral and a Welsh point of view. In comes a freedie to bowl, and Harris turns on the leg side, but close enough to mid-on, not to get a run.
Even this morning, he sort of tweets Peter Mead, good morning to him. He says, I really hope Middlesex can wrap this up before I leave for my first umpiring fixture of the season. He doesn't say what time he's got to set off, how far away it is. But I was actually sitting here thinking, I wouldn't mind seeing Glamorgan put up a bit of a fight, make Middlesex work for it. Unlikely now. They still trail by 101.
In comes a free and bowls and beats Harris for pace there as it just eludes the outside edge. Edward Cooper on Twitter says, I'd like to see Cullen in the side. Other than that, a new opening partnership. Well, Tom Cullen, who joined us on commentary briefly yesterday, certainly a battling character in the lower order. It's just if he hasn't got the gloves, does he bat high enough up to justify that selection? Happy St George's Day, by the way, to our English listeners.
And that's why I need the binoculars. I'll tell you why in a moment.
There's a freedie bowls, another short delivery that Harris ducks underneath reasonably comfortably.
Word has reached me that if we put on the binoculars and have a look over to that scorer's box over there, the Middlesex scorer is wearing a St George's hat.
A St George's hat?
Yes, the flag of St George.
Flag. I wondered what a St George's hat looked like as such.
A white hat with a red cross on it, as was reported. I wonder what Mr Hignell makes of all of that.
You're allowed to celebrate. We do. As Harris leaves one just outside off stump, through to Simpson. No run though sadly it's not a bank holiday in Wales yet, which causes some St David's Day.
Do you get double bubble on a bank holiday, Nick? Is that
no, it's it's March the 1st, and there's considerable feeling that Wales ought to be allowed a bank holiday, but
does anybody get double bubble on a holiday anymore? Bank holiday or Sundays? Do they not?
I think BBC does it for Boxing Day.
Do they?
I believe. As Harris is beaten by that one. That went straight through him and ended up in the gloves of Simpson. So Harris in some discomfort from a couple of deliveries that over. 113 for 8. Middlesex's advantage is still 101.
We'd have a field day as cricket commentators if we got double bubble on bank holidays and Sundays, wouldn't we? We'd get all of £5.50.
Yes, well, I was working on Easter Friday, and the short hours from this match will make up from some of the longer ones from the first couple of weeks of the season.
Roland Jones beginning the new over. Oh, that's a lovely ball, beats Van der Houten. Saw Roland Jones and Harris having a good old chat last night as they left the ground. Whatever the joke was, Roland Jones had his arm around Harris, good pals. It's a very popular man, wasn't he, Harris? So he'll be very keen to get on strike and just do something here against his former county with the bat.
Well, he's the most impressive bowler for Glamorgan. 4 wickets. Cricket Cymru tweeted, "Happy St George's Day. It's a nice story, but we think the Dragon probably won."
Roland Jones is in, bowls, and this is driven by Van der Houten back to his left hand, and runs prevented by Roland Jones. Yeah. Should Mr. Hignell put on a cap with the Dragon on the...
Ian Holmes tweeted, "Couldn't stand any more batting collapses, so he's headed back towards his home in the north of England. At least we will have lost to a team wearing cable knit sweaters," says Ian.
Beautiful.
Who, I managed to say hello to very briefly at Trent Bridge. So good morning to you, Ian. Sorry I couldn't stop for a chat.
So it's just full of a length from Roland Jones, pushed into the onside. No run.
The trouble with cable net sweaters is that it means you will hear fielders identified an awful lot more by Kevin Hand than by opposition commentators in the course of Middlesex commentary over the season.
Mentioning the Middlesex scorer and his hat, he's written a book written and compiled by Don Shelley, 50 years of the Middlesex County Cricket League, 1972 to 2021. Here's Roland Jones. Past the umpire, he bowls in a forward defence from Van der Houten. He pushes back up the track and there's no run. So many a story in there of the Middlesex League over there, including a lovely list of all of the Test players to have played in the Middlesex League. This was his lockdown project.
All right.
From lockdown 1, he began compiling it. The 50 years of the Middlesex County Cricket League. So year by year history of it. And as I say, the first thing he did point me to actually was the very back of the book and that list of former Test players that have played in the league. Roland Jones, 2 balls left to his 15th. Bowls and just short of a length. Van der Houten's in behind it and defends, and there's no run.
Yep. Well, big names?
Plenty. You go down that list. I mean, you think of all those that have played for Middlesex over the years. Roland Butcher, well, all of them, you know. Just looking from the top down in alphabetical order. Corey Collymore, Nick Compton, Wayne Daniel, amazing names. Aravinda de Silva, Phil de Freitas. Yeah, it's quite the list. Some bloke called Fraser. Sourav Ganguly. Here's Roland Jones. Bowls a bouncer and through to the keeper it goes. Van der Houten tries to hook at it. Dot ball it is. Adam Gilchrist, played for Richmond, of course, 1989. One of the surprising ones, Andy Caddick.
All right.
Played for Hampstead in 87-89. Which surprised me. Played 62 tests for England, Caddick. Chris Lewis played for Wembley. So yeah, it's a great effort this to have gone through the last 50 years. Don Shelley, and it's also his last year as Middlesex scorer, his 18th season. He's 18th and last. 18 and retired out, he said.
Here's a freebie then to bowl to Harris, who defends on the offside. And there's no run. Do you think he'll get dragged back into doing the job for second 11 or filling in for holidays in future?
Oh, that's a fair shout. That's a fair shout. His beloved Ealing, I'm sure he'll be there for every game for them. Not a bad man to call him for. I want to watch a little bit more rugby and do a little bit more travelling, he said.
Fair enough.
I think probably the last 3 years of COVID knocked a bit of the love out of it for a scorer.
Afridi steaming in, bowling to Harris, who'll get a single here as he pushes it wide of cover. They might think about coming back for a second. No, they don't, and that's the correct decision. 114 for 8, Harris onto 5 not out. If you are just joining us, then Toby Roland Jones has struck twice already this morning, with Sam North East edging to slip on 21, and Michael Nisa chipping rather tamely to mid-on for 27.
I'm glad he's got this season, though, where it's a full, proper season. You can get up close with the players. You can go out on the pitch again. He couldn't go out on the pitch, I think, still last year at the start of the match, getting the teams and there for the toss. So, at least he'll get one more proper season before he... What would a scorer hang up?
Pencils. Van der Hoogten defends on the leg side. In fact, he defends into a gap on the leg side, and they'll go through for a single. 115 for 8 as Van der Hoogten gets off the mark.
Well, not anymore. Hang up his mouse.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, does he do it in a book simultaneously to the computer?
I guess he probably does, yeah.
I think. Pretty sure Dr. Hignell still keeps up the paper record as well as the online one.
Dr. Hignell is such an ominous name, isn't it? He's a good man. Glad to see him this morning.
Yep, he's dished out our copies of the yearbook. As Harris is hit on the pad there, looking to turn on the leg side, the ball bounces down towards third man, and they'll run through for a late bye. 116 for 8, Glamorgan.
I asked him for what was one of his favourite. His favourite. He said, "Oh, let me just think of one of them." And he said, 1975. He thumbed the page for me on this one. Finchley made a poor start to the season, losing to Ealing at home in the first match of the season, chasing Ealing's total of 169 for 6 declared from 47 overs.
Here's Afridi, keeping you in suspense, dear listener. Afridi is in, round the wicket to bowl to Van der Hoogten, who defends to mid-off.
Behave yourself. Finchley appeared to be cruising to victory when number 11 batsman Moriarty Hyde informed his dressing room that he was in desperate need of getting a bag full of his laundry washed at a local laundrette. He left his phone number at the pub next to the laundrette in the changing room, but whilst he was away, Ealing bowler Peter Mitchell caused Finchley a batting collapse of 6 for 24, and Hyde reappeared just as the players were leaving the field. Finchley 125 for 9, all outs in 42 overs. Hyde absent.
Oh dear.
Plenty of stories over the years from the Middlesex leagues, but he said that was one that tickled him.
Afridi bowls and Van der Hoogten clips it off his legs, but straight to mid-wicket. 116 for 8, Glamorgan at the end of the over. The deficit is 98 with just 2 second innings wickets remaining. Reminds me of a university game I played in against a club side. It was a friendly where we were apparently cruising to victory, and I think our last 3 or 4 players had already changed back into their t-shirts and jeans or whatever, only to have the most immense collapse. We ended up, I think, losing 8 wickets for 6 runs and lost the match by 1. I'm afraid I got myself run out in the middle of that.
Oh dear. Roland Jones to Harris. He bowls, and Harris leaves a lane outside of the off-stump. I think the first time in this innings that he's bowled to Harris. I think he's faced exclusively from the far end so far. Are you playing much this season?
Well, if selected, and if I'm not working on a Saturday, I might get a little outing in a friendly tomorrow, if I'm lucky, if we're allowed to rotate 12 players.
Roland Jones bowls. Harris defending forward up to mid-off, Helm Fields.
League starts in South East Wales for most of the clubs next weekend, although good luck if you're involved in the upper echelon, who are already underway today, I believe.
I'd imagine Don Shelley's book, by the way, MCC office, Middlesex office, to find a copy.
There we are. Glamorgan yearbook also available from the club.
It does include, apparently, an article by Angus Fraser, MBE, on growing up in the MCCL. But don't let that put you off. He was giving it out in the first game of the season at MTS, so he's not here. I can give it back for a bit.
Fair enough. Halfway through the Roland Jones over, and I think we'd better get Edward Bevan to administer what may be the last rites.
Roland Jones bowls, and on the back foot Harris defending. 116 for 8.
Middlesex needing 2 more wickets to win. If I don't get to broadcast again, I look forward to bringing you the action from Derby alongside Dave Fletcher from Thursday onwards.
Oh, don't say that, Nick. We were just warming up. We're done for the match. We're done for the match, couldn't we? It was lovely to see you. And look forward to when's a return fixture? You can shout at me as you're off air now. Do we know?
September the 12th.
September the 12th.
It's my birthday.
Is it? Is it really? Oh, well, here we go. Roland Jones is in. He bowls, and this ball inside edge, I think, onto the pads for Harris, looking to clip into the onside. Ed, you're going to have to come to Lord's for the return fixture. It's Nick's birthday. Pints on him in the tavern.
Oh, absolutely.
Dinner in the Ritz. We'll have a good night that night. Is that day 1, your birthday? Yep. The 12th? Oh, there we go. Not to be forgotten.
Glorious 12th. Months after. That was my parents' wedding day, was the glorious 12th.
And the birthday of the
August.
former Glamorgan legend.
Here's Roland Jones bowls and beats the forward defence of Harris. There it goes. End of his 16th over. Roland Jones, 5 for 39. He still has 116 for 8. That was his 5th maiden. The 12th is also the birthday of which former Glamorgan legend, former Glamorgan legend, still a Glamorgan legend, I hope, unless they've done themselves a
Is it Donald Shepherd?
Ah, Don Shepherd. September 12th as well, or 12th of...
12th of September.
They're both, Nick Webb shares his birthday with Don Shepherd.
That's August.
2 Glamorgan legends. September 12th. Here's Afridi. He's left arm around the wicket. Over to you, Ed.
And he bowls, and Van der Gooten just chips it away to mid-on, and there's no run. And immediately Van der Gooten takes his gloves off to adjust his pad. 2 wickets gone in quick succession this morning. Nisa chipping to Robson of Roland Jones for 27. And the northeast was caught at second slip by Roland Jones for 31. The wickets falling at 105 and 113.
When's your birthday, Ed?
May the 3rd.
May the 3rd. So, any nice plans? Where will you be? Glamorgan playing that day?
I haven't had a look where we are. 3D round the wicket drives does Van der Gooten, but intercepted it mid-off at...
Let's have a look. May the 3rd, Glamorgan. Oh, that's Division 1. Top of the table, as they still are for the moment, Glamorgan. Well, in the table coming into this this round, of course. May the 4th is the day before.
May the 3rd.
May the 3rd, sorry.
Afridi from the river end. And bowls, and this is pushed away down to 3rd man for a single. 117 for 8. Day off, is it?
Two days before Leicestershire arrive here in Cardiff, so you've got a day to recover after your birthday celebrations, Ed.
Yes, not many of those these days. Try to forget birthdays, don't you?
Off to Chestley Street after that. You won't go to that one, though, will you?
Oh.
12th of May in Chestley Street. That could still be pretty cold at that point, couldn't it? Middlesex are up at Chestley Street in September.
In comes Afridi, pitched up and pushed down the pitch by Harris, who played extremely well in the first innings. And was just there with Van der Gooten, who was in good batting form, having made 60 odd up at Trent Bridge last week. And they'll try and just bring a little bit of respectability to this innings, which is just about folded. We had 35 minutes play this morning. Just Michael Hogan to come as Afridi, coming and bowling quite fast this morning. Bowls a nasty bouncer, which Harris does well to evade, and it goes through down the leg side.
You'd have liked this one, Ed. I was telling Nick about 50 years of the Middlesex County League, the 50th anniversary of the league. The Middlesex scorer has written and compiled the record of it. Don Shelley. His last year, did you hear? He's hanging up his pencil case.
Is he really?
18 years retired out. He's written this. I was just looking through all the little bits and pieces. Something just struck me, though.
In comes Afridi again and bowls. Appeal for LBW.
Going down, you'd imagine, wouldn't you, left arm around to the right-hander?
Yes, I haven't got much chance there. End of the over, and it's 117 for 8. Glamorgan still trailed by 97 runs.
I was just looking to see, actually, I was teasing Gus that an article by Angus Fraser, MB, on growing up in the MCCL. I was being mischievous as usual, but it did strike me then, actually, well, what was his first year in the MCL? 1984, Angus Fraser, Stanmore. 1984 to 2005, his playing career in the Middlesex Cricket League. So I was thinking, who would he have played against in 84 then? Because there's some pretty... They've got a list of Test cricketers who played in the league. Phil de Freitas was playing in 84 in the Middlesex League. Just trying to see who else would have been around at that time. As here's Roland Jones.
Yep.
In bowls, and Van der Houten defends into the offside, no run. 1984, who else was there?
Chris Lewis had been around then?
Chris Lewis, I've just thumbed past him. 1985.
He was educated
started up
in
for
London,
Wembley,
wasn't he, in that area?
Sorry, say again.
He was educated in
Wembley.
London.
So Wembley he was from 85 to 87. Who else was around in 84 in the league? Dermot Reeve, 82 to 85, Bronsbury. Here's Roland Jones, bowls, forward defence from Van der Houten into the offside. The onside, sorry, and there's no run. Some great names. That played Test players across the 50. 50, yeah, pretty interesting, wouldn't it? Phil Tufnell started 85 at Southgate. But yeah, some wonderful names over the years that played through the league. I'm just looking where Gat's name is on this list. He was
somewhere.
He was 72 to 78 for Bronsbury, and then 2002 to 2004 for Enfield. So he wasn't at that point playing in the league. I guess pretty busy with England and Middlesex. Roland Jones up to the crease now. He bowls, and this ball's eased away.
Is Mike still involved in Middlesex? Or?
Executive board member, yeah.
Oh,
he's still on the executive board.
What a good man he's been for cricket.
Yeah, he comes up and says hello on the mic every now and again as well. Look forward to seeing him this year. I haven't seen him yet say hello.
Yeah, great man.
Yep.
Played the game fairly and enjoyed the challenge.
Good company as well, isn't he?
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
You'd have been on many a tour with him, wouldn't you?
Yes. I'll give you a little story about Mike in just a moment.
Roland Jones bowls, and a lifting ball past the edge of the forward defence of Van der Houten. He remains on 2.
My daughter was up in college in London for a couple of years, a very, very keen, still is, follower of cricket. Mm-hmm. And the famous 2005 series, the game at the Oval, if you remember. And she said, Dad, if you could possibly get me... I was up there working. And she said, is there any chance of getting... Oh, look, it's Saturday afternoon, Oval test. I will try my best. And put the phone down.
Roland Jones bowls, forward defence, quick single taken in front of point. Holden under arms at the non-strikers end, they're through. Van der Houten's on to 3.
And I met Gat in the corridor. I think he was doing some media work. And I said, do you know anybody around here where I might be able to get a ticket for tomorrow? I said, Saturday, anywhere in the ground will do. It's for my daughter. He comes back in an hour with a huge envelope. I got a ticket, he said, for your daughter. And it's right behind the arm on the...
Roland Jones approaches the stumps, bowls, and this is eased away down to the deepish gully by Harris. No run. End of Roland Jones is 17th. 118 for 8.
And it's down at the Vauxhall end. I said, that's very, very kind. In fact, he said, it's a complimentary ticket, and she'll have lunch, she'll have coffee, and she'll have a glass of champagne and tea. I said, well, how much do I owe you? No. He said, no problem. She had the day of her life.
Yeah.
Sitting there, she felt rather embarrassed, but she had a wonderful day, and I was ever grateful to Mike Gatting then for doing that. And that particular night, I was trying to get a taxi / bus back to my hotel, and as you can imagine, streaming out of the Oval, hopeless. And who comes past in his car? in a taxi. He was gat. He stops the taxi. Get in. He said, "Where you going?" I said, "So and so." Driver, just divert you to this man's hotel, and that's it. That just tells you what a wonderful man he is.
Top fella.
Was, and you know.
Yeah, top man. Bowling change at the River End. Helm in for
yes.
Afridi.
No luck for Afridi this morning, and Tom Helmer with the 3 slips and 3 saving 1 on that offside. Comes in from the River End and bowls, and that's chipped away down towards fine leg. And they will take a single. So this pair just holding it Middlesex up. How long it lasts remains to be seen, but they are capable batsmen.
Long enough to at least allow us to have a natter head this morning, which is nice.
Back up that M4 this afternoon, or?
Yes, yeah. Well, maybe. Hotel's booked for one more night, isn't it? So maybe set off on a Sunday. Might be an easier. Sunday's a quieter motorway, isn't it?
Yes. Next ball is well pitched up by Helm and driven back by Harris. There's no run. He's on 5 and Gooten is on 4.
I was looking for the most famous overseas name to have played in the Middlesex League. Gilchrist played for Richmond, as I'm sure you'll know. He had a year with Richmond. It was a famous one because then he came back and played for Middlesex in the T20, didn't he? And
yeah, Old Deer Park, didn't he?
Yeah.
I'm wondering, pictures of him there.
Did he play against Glamorgan at Old Deer Park? Just trying to think. So you played so many games there in the T20.
I'm not absolutely sure whether he played or not. I don't think so, but I might be wrong. In comes Helm and bowls. This hits Paris, the midship.
Because you turned up with David Milan there one year, and David Milan with Sean Tate, and Milan put Tate onto the pavilion roof, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which was a huge shot off Tate as well. But whether it was, for sure, Gilchrist played one game for Middlesex at Richmond. I'm just trying to remember whether yourselves or perhaps Hampshire are the other team that play a lot at Richmond.
I don't think he did, but it's been a happy hunting ground for Glamorgan over the years in T20s.
Most Middlesex home venues have been a happy hunting ground for opposing teams.
In comes Helm and bowls. This is played away onto the offside.
They've had their troubles in T20.
Yes.
But hoping for a good year this year. They look. Talking to John Simpson on the interview last night. There's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement, I think, about this young squad that they've got. It is. There's a lot of talent banging on the door to get into this side.
Mm. Well, but they can go out on loan if they're not chosen. That's the best thing they can do.
Yeah, I think this was the problem after 2016. They lost Higgins, didn't they? That was the big one, where they were disappointed that he went to Gloucestershire.
In comes Helm, bowls. Oh, that's deceived, but it is a run for Harris as he tries to whip it away. In swing, coming back in, ends down at fine leg for a single.
It's got the old boy Stoneman in at the top, but I think there's a real desire to make sure that the youngsters do get their chance in the first 11 for Middlesex.
Mm.
Yeah, you look at Bamber again, 23 years of age, 100 odd wickets at 23. A fine average. An average the same as his age.
Yes, I find it's a good system, this loan system.
Yeah.
People can get cricket, not just sit and take the drinks out.
Do you remember much of Helm at Glamorgan?
Yeah, he was a very nice lad as he comes in and bowls. Appeal for LBW and he's given out. And that is the 9th wicket fallen. Helm gets a wicket and his first over of the day. The end is nigh. It's 120 for 9.
Yeah, looked so he was in trouble on that one. Just back when he could have been forward, I'd say. Ball just nipped back on him as well. Van der Hooten's gone for 4. Second wicket for Helm, very well deserved. He looks in really good. He looks in a really good place at the moment, Tom Helm.
He certainly does.
Lovely rhythm, lovely flow. I have to say these 3 that they've got with Anderson in this match as the 4th seamer, they really feel it's been a very, very dominant display from the 3 of them. Let's put it that way. They've just been all over Glamorgan all match long, haven't they?
Yes, certainly have.
And Glamorgan's struggling now to make their first innings total of 122. They're 120 for 9.
Yes, I think they'll forget this. Well, they won't forget it. Well, done and dusted. We won a game this season. We go to Derby, and I think they'll change the side. Something tells me that side will be changed. What I would do, I would think Billy Root is a top order batsman. I remember last year he got 100 in the first game of the season up at his native Yorkshire. Although he's not an opener, I think he would be a better bet. and Andrew Salter. Salter dropped down to number 8, and you have Dan Douthwaite, who played every game just about last season. He will be hovering. He's been injured, but he might be in the reckoning for Taylor, who sadly hasn't made an impression in the first team. And looking on from the sidelines is one Colin Ingram, who played once this season and made 87, I think it was, against Durham, and hasn't been seen since, due to the introduction, of course, of the two Australians, Nisa and Labuschagne. Yeah, 87 he made. Martin Anderson is going to have a bowl, and he will be bowling to James Harris. And Michael Hogan has come in and had a word with Harris, and I wonder what that conversation was. Something probably, well, you know how I play, James, so perhaps I will leave it to you. Or words to that effect. Do you agree, Nick? Nick loves to see Hogan coming in for a bat. One of the old-fashioned number 11s.
Here's Anderson running into Harris. He bowls, and left alone by Harris. There it goes to Simpson. 120 for 9. So yeah, it could be done pretty quickly. No 10 for Roland Jones then with that wicket for Helm, and obviously out of the attack now for Anderson as well. But it's a very, very strong match again for Toby Roland Jones. There's a big smile on his face. He returns the ball to Anderson from mid-on. Anderson turning off a considerably shorter run-up than Roland Jones has. He's in, bowls, and good ball. Oof, that was a lovely ball. Nice line of length. Good leave by Harris. Really picked up some bounce and left the right-hander after passing him. Simpson had to scurry after it, didn't he?
I had an interesting chat with Nick this morning before play started. That side of the square, which is generally used this time of the year, and it always a bit in it, well, there's more than a little bit in it for these bowlers, has been seen in this game, especially the Middlesex attack.
Here's Anderson bowls. This is E's tobacco point, Holden Fields.
And you would think, well, yes, could they not have played on another pitch where there was, and knowing that the strength of the Middlesex pace attack, a slightly fatter pitch, a pitch where you could get a lot of runs and not fear so much, because we've known from the start of this game that there's a bit of unpredicted bounce at that far end.
Anderson right up there. It's driven by Harris to Roland Jones at mid-on, no run.
We saw in Roland Jones's last over that Simpson had to go up here and took it in front of first or second slip. But who am I to tell the groundsman what to prepare and where to prepare it? This certainly has been a spicy wicket, put it that way.
Or Ed, you know when you look at your phone and you've got two messages, one's from the Director of Communications at Middlesex and one's from the CEO. What have I said? What have I said?
But your P45 comes.
Here's Anderson, he bowls, it's full, clipped away, wide of mid-on. That's a lovely shot by Harris. He moves to 10. Roland Jones attempting a scrambling stop, couldn't do so. And Glamorgan are 124 for 9. They have surpassed their first innings total of 122. Stephen Fletcher first, he says Adam Gilchrist did play against Glamorgan at Richmond, 15th of June 2010. It was a fair bet, it was yourselves or Hampshire at Richmond. Gilly got 51 and Middlesex won by 84 runs. No wonder Ed can't remember that one. Good to hear from you, Fletch. You can get one back on him when you're up at Lords later in the season, Ed. Here's Anderson bowls. That's punched off the back foot beautifully by Harris. 4 more, 128 for 9. Proper shots, the pair of them. That was a really attractive drive by Harris, who moves to 14. It's the end of the over. Anderson 7 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 33 now. Glamorgan trail by 86, or 128 for 9. Hogan will have strike, Harris has 14. And the chief exec, Andrew Cornish, says, enjoying your commentary and the performance, he says. Mike Gatting is a board member, not executive board anymore. It's just called the board now. He's elected by membership and has just been reappointed with another 3-year term, which is great news. Just a bit of background, he says.
Thank you, yes.
Thank you, Andrew. Good to hear from you.
I just come back to that over 2 boundaries, and how often do you see when the top bowler has a rest and they take advantage of the change bowler? Anything can happen here as Helm comes in and bowls to Hogan, who cuts it away down to third man and gets a single. Got right on top of that tall man. He's off the mark. He'll be delighted with that. because Anderson is nowhere near the pace or the guile or the rhythm or anything of Roland Jones, promising young bowler, but he would not have had a half volley on leg stump which was hit for 4 and a short ball that went down to the cover boundary. So Harris just taken advantage of that, 14 not out, and he's waiting now for Helm from that far end who bowls to him, and he edges that all along the ground to deep gully. A little bit of a misfield. He scampers after it as if his life depended on it and didn't want to give away a single. Glamorgan then have lost 3 wickets this morning. The first to go was North East, who was out for 21, and then Michael Nisa was out for 27, and Van der Gooten, the last batsman, out for 4. Glamorgan are trailing by 85 runs as in comes Helm from that far end. Bowls. Driven. Oh, it's in the
top
air.
edge.
But it's gone over mid-off. And Harris is going to get a single.
Or leading edge, I should say. Sorry, we all looked around, didn't we? Everybody did. Everybody said, where's it gone? He was looking to clip through mid-wicket, and a leading edge over mid-off. 3 balls left to this over. What are the odds now for 6, 4 or dismissal? Have we seen a 6 in the match yet? I don't think we have we?
Yeah, I think Afridi hit one. Right, then in comes Helm, bowls to Hogan, who has hit that through mid-wicket. It's a chase up to the boundary. They'll cross for a second run, and Hogan will have strike as he moves on to 3. Yes, a big blow down to the down to the scoreboard yesterday. It was more of a slog than a cultured shot as he went and struck Hogan over cow corner for 6. I think that's the only one.
Yeah, you're right. You did indeed.
Helm is over the wicket. Bowls to Hogan. Hogan is bowled. That is the end of the game. Hogan is bowled by Helm for 3. My prediction, I think, was spot on. Glamorgan at 132 all out, and a very deserved victory for Middlesex, who have been by far the best side in this contest, and Glamorgan completely outplayed with bat and ball, and the result then, Glamorgan win by an innings 82 runs, which is as convincing, Kevin Hand, as you could get.
This is indeed. I think you said Glamorgan, but we know you meant Middlesex.
Did I?
Yeah. It was,
I was hoping.
Wishful thinking, yeah. Yeah, that's a brilliant performance by Middlesex with bat and with ball. I mean, look, we know that Simon got a 50, didn't he? But the rest of the top order struggled until Simpson got in and got that century. Roland Jones with the 50 as well. But that was the game, really, wasn't it? It was a bowler's pitch. However, I think Glamorgan's 122 and 132 is far more about the Middlesex bowling attack than the track and the surface. I don't think any complaints about the surface at all. I think.
Oh no.
You always want a surface that gives a little bit more to the bowlers than the batters, and in this one I think both bowling lineups are outstanding, but I think that Middlesex with the ball just had that little bit more. Roland Jones very nearly at his best, really. Injuries, I'm sure, would have taken their toll on him over the years, and obviously age against him as well now, but that was a magnificent performance. All eyes were on Afridi coming into this match, but Roland Jones was outstanding. And I think fitting as well that Helm picked up the last wicket, 3 for 24. He picked up the last 2 to go, didn't he, Helm?
Yeah.
That's a go with the couple he got in the first innings, so a 5 for in the match for Helm. He was outstanding. Roland Jones leads them off. Confirmation, as Nick said, that he's the man of the match, but Simpson should be following tight behind him, shouldn't he, for that century? Because the big difference between the sides was the Simpson century. But bowling-wise, I feel for Glamorgan because they've come up against one of the best bowling attacks. Certainly one of the best performances. It's a 3-man performance with Anderson as well, picking up a couple in the match. And he did nothing wrong, Anderson, so I'm not taking anything away from him. But Roland Jones, Helm and Shane Afridi, the 3 of them were on top form, and you wouldn't fancy many batting lineups around the world, really, if you're facing those 3 on top form. Yeah. Helm, close to an England call-up, many believe, many expect, think he should be there. Roland Jones, again, a past England bowler who would have played far more, but for injury, and Showing Afridi an absolute star. So I feel for Glamorgan in this match, because I think Middlesex have hit absolutely top form in this game, with the ball in particular, but a huge mention for John Simpson, Ed.
Yeah, we totally agree with you, Kevin. And Glamorgan now have lost one game. They've won the other one. And in the third game, of course, they held Durham to a draw. The only thing that worries me as a Glamorgan, obviously, and I'm sure would worry Glamorgan supporters, is that had the rain not interfered so much with the game against Durham, you would have said quite easily that Durham would have won that game. So the Glamorgan batsmen, when they played against Nottinghamshire, played extremely well, but they have a problem. They have a problem at the opening the batting. There needs to be a bit of a reshuffle there. And they have certainly got two very good players then coming, Labuschagne, North East, and then Carlson, and Cook is in good form. But I think the word is, and Nick and I again were talking about, is consistency. If you don't have consistency, then you are going to lose a game or two. So Middlesex have drawn one game. They've won one game here convincingly, and who have they got in the next match?
Leicestershire at home next week for Middlesex, so they'll be relishing that one. Whether Tim Murtagh will be back, it might be too soon for him, but Ethan Bamber will be banging on the door saying get me back into this side. Stephen Eskenazi will have to wait and see how his finger injury is. He'll want to get back in as well. So they've got plenty of players that want to get back into this side, Middlesex, and that bodes really well for them. It is exciting. The youngsters at the end of last season played really well. And across the last 2 years they were a real highlight when the side were struggling, but they've seen in this match, I think, what they're capable of. Again, it's massive that they've got Toby Rowland-Jones back on the field.
Let's hope he keeps his fitness.
Exactly, you can't get away from that. And the
He'll probably be rested the odd game. What do you think?
You'll have to rotate them. I think you have to with the number of bowlers that you've got, but also in this day and age you do. That's the way it works. But also Robson and Stoneman at the top. I think Stoneman's an outstanding signing as well.
Very well balanced side looking at it.
Well, a couple of them. It was only a half an hour partnership, 35 minutes before Robson fell, but that 42 at the start of the innings just gave them some stability. And again, that I think will probably be a difference that. Everybody seems a little bit nervous for the opening pair for Glamorgan in this game, especially because they were up against the Afridi. But again, it was Rowland-Jones that was the star and the man of the match with the ball, and an excellent performance with the bat as well to see Middlesex there.
Changed the course of that innings, undoubtedly. Well, I'm sorry that we haven't got any more commentary to bring you today. Glamorgan roundly beaten by an innings here and 82 runs. Glamorgan's next game will be at Derby. That starts next Thursday, so it'll give them plenty of time to have plenty of net practice, discuss and pick a squad they think will be the best squad. But from Kevin, it's great to have seen you, Kem, again. And
September feels a long way. We've only had we've barely had 2 days, have we? Was it 46 overs? That's done.
And playing against Middlesex, of course, in the 2020.
We got that, Ed. Yeah.
And as I say, lovely to see you, and have a safe journey back to London. Nick will be up at Derby together with the Derby crew up there, and we look forward to you all joining us for the stream and the commentary. But from Nick Webb, Kevin Hand and myself, Edward Bevan, it's goodbye from Sophia Gardens.